AgWeek weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Can the region expect a cool down anytime soon? Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
North American weather, for the time being, is being dominated by a giant dome of hot, dry air. It's a big high-pressure ridge right in the mid part of the country. It's going to bring a whole lot of hot weather for the next, several days, and probably on toward, at least for some of this, toward the end of August, right in the middle of the United States. Around the periphery of that, there may be some storms, but underneath the strength of that heat dome, things are looking pretty dry. As I said, though, if there's going to be areas that get rain, it'll be around the sides of it. The west side, the south side, perhaps the north side, and maybe even to some extent the east side. And this is a type of weather system that will invite tropical storms and hurricanes to come in from the Gulf and the Atlantic, if any happen to develop. And we're getting into that time of the year where that is becoming increasingly more likely. Tropical systems have been missing from the Atlantic so far this season due to a lot of Saharan dust, and that may continue to be an issue. But getting into that time of the year, though, where hurricanes can still pop up in the Gulf, and we may eventually start to see some coming up out of the Atlantic. Never mind, for the time being and for the purposes at hand, the hot dome is this right here. Centered, think Nebraska, Kansas, peripheries of it getting into Iowa, Missouri, down and through Texas, where it's been hot all summer. It's the jet stream being so far north with the ridging right here in the middle that has invited this really hot weather northward. Eastern seaboard continues to be somewhat influenced by this Hudson Bay low pressure area, and in fact there will be some fairly cool weather into New England and the Canadian Maritimes this week, while the central and southern plains bake. Northern plains will have the occasional odd hot day, and then the cold weather will retreat, or the cold weather will surge south again, and we'll get a little bit of a relaxation of the heat. Here in the northern plains, we'll be right on the edge of that hot weather, so we'll mostly get it in bits and pieces. As we head toward the second week of the forecast, which actually carries us into first couple of days of September, still looking hot here in the central plains and to some extent in the northern plains. We're actually getting some freezing or near freezing weather to get fairly persistent up around Hudson Bay. So for this week, that would be the week of August 20th through the 26th. It's going to be dry underneath that heat dome, a little bit of tropical moisture, the usual coastal thunder showers, and perhaps even a tropical disturbance or two will make the Gulf Coast fairly wet. And likely on the northern edge of this heat dome, there will be some thunder showers. There's forecast to be a tropical system hugging the west coast that'll bring some wet weather there. The second week, the monsoon will be on the central Rockies, and the beginnings of the breakdown of that ridge will make the Rockies wet. Stormy weather in the plains will likely be spotty.